Hello everyone, welcome to the Weekly Guest Podcast. My name is Edward Daniel. It's a pleasure to be here again today. Thank you for taking time out to listen. On this week's podcast, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Robert Barker. Robert Barker is owner of Farm Direct. Welcome, Robert. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Edward.
Now then, you are owner of Farm Direct. Can you tell us a little bit more about the products and services that you offer, and how did your business come about?
Farm Direct is a 4-day-a-week service, essentially feeding hungry North Londoners locally produced food. The service operates from Friday through till Monday and has got 2 points of differentiation, I guess. The first is that it only sells fresh English produce, and the second is that it's a kind of multi-channel affair where we have a part home delivery service, partly click and collection service, and also we run a kind of market style retail operation at the weekend. So there are quite a lot of ways in which our customers engage with us.
And you connect local residents with local farmers and producers. How have you sourced your local farmers, and what range of produce do they offer?
It's quite a wide range. We cover all of the kind of main fresh produce groups, so from all the different types of fresh protein through to all the different types of meats, types of game, fish as well, through to dairy and through to eggs, through to fruit and vegetables, through to bakery and patisserie, and a whole sort of range of niche fresh products. And how do we connect with them? Well, I mean, we've got a fairly wide network now of around probably 60 producers that feed in. I mean, we're sort of going to be 4 years old this autumn, so that's built up over time. It wasn't as big as that at the start. Some of them deliver into us. Sometimes we go and collect it. Sometimes we collect it sort of halfway, and sometimes they just kind of send it in by courier. So it's a fairly sort of multifaceted, sort of complex operation, really. I mean, not all that much, but produce gets to us in quite a wide range of ways.
So how did you identify that there was a niche or a need in the market then?
Well, I mean, I was always a big fan of the local farmers market and used to go there. And essentially, I didn't find it very accessible. I mean, our local one in Islington was open 10 till 2 on a Sunday, and it was only obviously a market operation. You couldn't pre-order, there isn't one kind of point of checkout, and you couldn't pre-order online or in kind of any ways like that, and they obviously didn't do home delivery service, and the different producers didn't aggregate their proposition into a single point. And so it was really an effort to try and make that kind of food much more accessible to me and to other people whom I thought would be interested, because the growth in farmers market food, the growth in provenance, the interest in a sort of shorter supply chain, the realization that industrial farming has got its kind of not so good consequences, and that we should be trying to support kind of smaller scale mixed use producers, as well as indeed the issues of food miles and those kind of things. Those are pretty established trends, and I figured that they weren't trends which were about to change anytime soon. And so for that reason, I thought it worthwhile to set up Farm Direct.
Now, how do you ensure that the produce you source remains as fresh and as nourishing as possible then?
We have it cut or harvested in the case of produce as late as possible. So, for example, our service runs from Friday through to Monday. We're offering lettuces. Lettuce at this time of year, it's been pretty steamy and hot, hasn't it?
Yes.
So we would have them cut on Friday morning, and we go out and collect them, or at least most of them. And they're cut on Friday morning, and they're with us by Friday lunchtime. I mean, that's a fairly extreme example, but we basically are in control of the product, and we've got a very short chain between us and the farm, and we leave it as late as possible.
So how do you engage new customers to try your particular products then?
How do we engage them, or how do we acquire them? I mean, our existing customers, the main way is email and social media, but email is really by far the most important. We send out a weekly newsletter saying what products are in, and that goes out on a Wednesday evening, and that says what's coming in, what's going out. We send an email on Thursday afternoon saying what fish has been landed on the Wednesday and on the Thursday, and so that's our main point of communication for engaging customers who have signed up to our newsletter. And as for sort of engaging new customers, well, we've got our warehouse here. We have kind of sandwich boards out at the weekend. We put flyers into inserts into magazines, and we do some kind of advertising in local print magazines as well.
Now, you made a decision not to import food from abroad. Can you tell us, or can you explain the rationale for that?
In truth, it wasn't a point of principle not to, as such, or at least, sorry, it wasn't a point of principle in terms of our own beliefs. I mean, now that I've been doing it for nearly 4 years this autumn, I think that there is a strong sort of line of persuasion that you can use with your customers that, supporting local food producers is a very good thing. I mean, the essential reason for that is that our population is going to be growing from 7 million up to nearly 10 billion, or 9 or 10 billion by the year 2050, they reckon. To that extent, food security is going to, or food, how to basically feed 10 million people is a pressing issue, and they reckon that keeping supply chains shorter is going to be one solution. But the overwhelming reality of it for us really was that we were looking for a point of differentiation, and that is our angle. The food business is massive, dominated by the supermarkets, who offer an extraordinary range of products. Your average supermarket will offer around 40,000 products. We can't offer 40,000. We offer around 400 or 500. So if we're going to do that, we need to offer them well, and we need to be extremely good quality. So then the natural route to go down really is to be offering local produce, and also there are all the reasons I said earlier as to the whole sort of farmers market phenomenon. To an extent we have been riding on the back of that. So it's a kind of established trends and established popularity of that. But at the end of the day, we are a very small player in an extremely large market, and to that extent, we've got to be focused. We've got to have an angle, and we've got to have a unique selling point.
Of course,
so that's the main reason.
Now, in what way do you help customers lead a healthy, self-sufficient, progressive environment then?
That's quite a sort of tough. That's quite a tough question, really. I think that being in control of the food you're eating, cooking your own food, is invariably healthy, because actually the typical density of sugar in unprocessed foods in which you're cooking yourself is 9 times out of 10 lower than in processed food. Sugar is now recognised, or high densities of sugar through the likes of high fructose corn syrup, which is a sort of I think it's in 80% of the products sold by McDonald's. I think that's a good example that broadly food producers and large scale food producers are pushing denser and denser quantities of sugar into us. And so if you don't eat that, and if you eat unprocessed food and you cook your own food, then you're not eating the same level of sugar, and that's probably the key benefit.
Now, why do customers say that the food that you source tends to be more nourishing and tasty? Does fresh harvesting help, or lack of pesticides? What's the secret?
I mean, just to kind of sort of pick up on those points, exactly. I'd say that um, nourishing is a kind of subjective phrase. Okay, so what is better for you is not. I mean, it's not always obvious. It's pretty subjective. Our customers, and I don't think that they'd say that it's necessarily more nourishing. They probably say it's better for them for the reasons I explained about the density of sugar. They would say that it's tastier. I think it's tastier because of the harvesting. I think that's a key point. I think that the lack of pesticides. I think that's something which doesn't necessarily make it more tasty. You probably can't taste pesticides. I say this without really knowing exactly what I'm talking about, but it's better for you. I mean, clearly not putting high kind of quantities of dense nitrate inside you is a good thing.
Yes. Now, your customers consider that your prices are competitive. How important is price compared to quality then?
I mean, again, speaking kind of honestly, I think that we are probably better value than we need to be. I've, over the last 3 years, I've tried to make it as accessible as possible. But I think sort of 3.5, 4 years in, I think people do value us for the quality of the service which we provide. But I started this business in 2009. They keep sort of saying that financial Armageddon is sort of here and on us and in us, and we're all neck deep, and so it's quite a bearish economy which we appear to be in, at least nationally. I don't know about the southeast. I think the southeast is a bit resistant to that. But yeah, price is important. We fundamentally are up against people who are offering generally cheaper products, still cheaper than us, and probably lower quality. I'm just a bit of a scaredy cat about actually putting prices up too high, because with food the temptation is to offer it at good value because people need to eat, and so if you've got an engaged customer, then they're going to be using you more often than not.
And they're going to come back to you as well.
Well, exactly.
Yes. Now, you use technology, online ordering, home deliveries, and send text reminders to engage with customers too. How important is it to keep customers informed, and how do you ensure your technology is user-friendly then?
I mean, in terms of keeping customers informed, you definitely have to be busy. If we didn't send out our newsletter on a Wednesday, if we weren't talking about what we're doing, there is a worry. One would worry that you're going to get lost in the kind of sound of other, sound of other emails, and that you'd get forgotten about. So yes. One doesn't dare to take one's foot off that kind of pedal, if you like. In terms of ensuring technology is user-friendly, that is a challenge for us because on one side, you can basically start up a website. What we're offering is a fairly straightforward e-commerce experience, and generally the barriers to technology, also the barriers to entry for technology, are lowering. Having said that, so that's the opportunity, and we've been able to build a website, not very much money at all. On the other side, the people that we're competing against, the kind of big organic box schemes, the supermarkets, the mail order businesses, quite often have invested, tens, hundreds of thousands, millions of pounds in their e-commerce platform, and so to that extent, our platform is not as sophisticated as theirs.
Now, who tends to be your customers? I see that you have caterers and pop-up restaurateurs as your customers.
They are very much in the minority. We very much focus on the consumer, on the end eater, if you like. Why? Main reason is that we are a small business. We need to focus on who we're trying to sell our service to. It's, for the number of people who are working in our business, it's quite complex, and it's pretty full time for us. caterers and restaurateurs have got a different set of requirements, different needs. They want it delivered at different times. They want to pay in a different manner. And I also think that by and large, caterers and restaurateurs do not hold the same level of importance attached to provenance as consumers do. And I don't criticise them for that at all. Well, I think it's changing, but I don't criticise them for that at all, because I think that when people go out for a meal, they want to be entertained. They want to have a nice evening out. They do want to have a quality meal, but that's kind of different from knowing that all their produce is locally sourced, or that their salad has been cut that morning. It's a different kind of experience. And so we basically avoid the catering industry by and large, and simply focus on consumers.
Now, what does the future hold for you and Farm Direct then?
Well, we would like to. I mean, we're kind of at the stage where this depot here is running nicely now, and is fairly well established in the local area. It can go much further and can do better, but we've sort of built this business on a relative shoestring, and I think that there's plenty more mileage. Most people don't know us around here. I still maintain that, and so I'm confident that this depot will grow. But the kind of real future of Farm Direct is the website and the platform to basically extend our service throughout other parts of London. I just need kind of various sort of time and money and resource in order to be able to do that. But that's certainly the plan.
Now, lastly, Robert, what piece of advice would you give to someone starting out in business then?
I think the most important things are you need to be comfortable that you have got at least some extent skills which you're going to need to do the job. It's good. It keeps it interesting if you don't know too much, but equally you need to know a fair amount. You need to ascertain what the skills gap is, there is one, and conversely just how much coverage you've got on it. I personally think it's important to be in an industry which is growing, and in a sector which is growing. I want to feel that if I'm going to perform averagely, hopefully over time, the market which I'm operating is going to increase. I am not a great advocate of plans and strategy. I think that you strategize too much and waste a lot of time, could have some sort of navel gazing. You just got to balance a certain amount of planning and preparation with seeing what works. I think that's a really important part of any small business, because you're ultimately, it's going to one of your key advantages is going to be your relative versatility, much more established players. So don't overplan. I think that's about it really. Try not to get external shareholders involved unless you really have to, because then you're beholden to other people. You might have to go in a direction which you don't really want to go. So in the early days, try and do it under your instincts for as long as possible.
Thank you. So that's all from me, Dan. It's bye from me, and it's bye from Robert Barker from Farm Direct. Bye-bye. Have a terrific week.